This video is going to address an issue that's been brought up since the first home was sold, and I actually think it was a cave. And the topic? Did that caveman buy or rent his family cave? If that caveman was able to search on the internet, a quick YouTube search would have produced several thousand videos on that very topic. Having been a financial advisor for pretty much over 30 years, I am going to give you my take on the subject. Let's get started now. Welcome to our favorite YouTube channel. My name is Mike Lavoie. I am a realtor in the Tampa Bay area with Dalton Wade Real Estate. My wife Paula and I have lived in the Tampa area for over 30 years. We really enjoy helping people with one of the largest transactions they'll probably ever make, buying or selling a home. If this is your first visit to our YouTube channel, please take a couple seconds and click on the subscribe button down below. Maybe over there. Hit that notification button as well. We will send you a message when our next video is published, which should be next Thursday. You're not going to want to miss out on any of the information that's mostly real estate related. Let's start with a disclaimer. I am a realtor, but I'm going to try to be as fair as possible to both sides of this argument. And yes, it is an argument. I consider a pretty dumb argument, because people on both sides of the argument are correct in their paradigm, their world, and in their lifestyle. There is no absolute one way or the other. You have the responsibility of making your own decisions based on your facts and your goals. Let's get something out in the open real quick here. There are basically 3 reasons why you should be considering purchasing a house or any piece of property. Number 1 is investment purposes. Do you want to become a landlord? Do you want to flip homes? Another possible would be a vacation home out on the beach or in the mountains, which wouldn't be here in Florida. Lastly, for a place to call home, your primary residence. The first 2 are a whole different concept with their own set of rules and a different video. This discussion is going to be about your primary home, your primary residence, a home, a place to live, a roof over your head. Your primary residence is not an investment. It's a place to live. So I'm going to assume either you no longer live rent-free with your parents or you don't want to anymore, and that you're out there trying to figure out, do we rent or do we buy? Either way, it's going to cost you money. Honestly, there is no set of circumstances that would say, definitely buy or rent. The decision is going to be based on your situation, both now and in your long-term goals. When you look at this, the questions you need to start with are, can we afford to buy? In some parts of the country, buying a home just may not be an option. The cost of living in a single-family home in California and New York City is pretty darn high. Miami's not much better. Tampa is lower, but it can still stretch a budget. Do you want to maintain that home? Someone is going to have to mow that yard and fix the fence and paint the kitchen. Home ownership equals home maintenance. How long do you plan to live there? Buying a home is a long-term commitment. If you're just starting out in your career, you might want to consider, what happens if you get transferred or if you lose your job and you have to move to a different city. Selling a home is not simple, it is not quick, and it is not cheap. If you do a search on YouTube for rent versus buy a home, you're going to get thousands of results. It's just amazing how many times this topic is talked about and by whom. One of them I saw was a professional bodybuilder. Several real estate agents, life coaches, financial gurus, some talking head on CNN and MSNBC, and just people venting. All of them with their own take on the topic. Like, for instance, Realtor.com. Now, how biased is their opinion? That's like the fox guarding the hen house. This guy, who is a well-known financial guru, also happens to sell your contact information that's generated from his website to his real estate agents. There were a couple of financial gurus who were working out the numbers to show how you could rent cheaper and invest the difference. Of course, they'd be happy to invest the difference for you for a fee. And then there was this guy. He's just flat scary. The decision always been 2 parts. One financial, one emotional. You're buying a home, your dream home. Of course it's going to be emotional. You're going to be concerned about things like location. Where in the city of your choice do you want your family to live? Safety, and that's pretty much self-explanatory. You want to feel safe where you live. Schools, whether you like it or not, whether you have children or not, schools are going to be a factor. Maybe not now when you're buying, but definitely when you go to sell. Commuting, how much time do you really want to spend in your car every day? Is public transportation available, and how far is it from your home? Shopping. I hate to say it, but you're gonna probably have to go get groceries and clothing and home improvement stuff. And of course, recreation. Here on the west coast of Florida, we have some of the the best beaches in the country. But if you're like me, the beaches are not such a draw. Where you want to play can be a determining factor and goes back to location. When you get old and retire, where are you going to live? Most of us grew up in a home where the goal was to get the mortgage paid off. No mortgage, how would that feel? There is a reason to get the mortgage paid off. You have a place to live with minimal expense after you retire. If you rent a home all your life, that rent is going to be due each month, including all those months after you retire. Unless you become a millionaire and pay cash for that home, you're going to have to pay somebody for lodging. Making the rent payment at 70 years old is going to cut down on a lot of other items that retirees enjoy, like traveling. So the emotional side is hard to quantify. The financial side is much easier. The first thing to figure out is, can you afford to buy? Every video I watched had their 3 rules, 5 rules, 25 rules on whether you should buy or rent. Just listening to how much your housing costs compared to incomes could be was boring.
30, the Republican-controlled House of Representatives, in an effort to alleviate the effects of the, anyone? The Great Depression, passed the, anyone? A tariff bill, the Hawley-Smoot Tariff Act, which, anyone raised or lowered? Raised tariffs in an effort to collect more revenue for the federal government.
Financial guru Dave Ramsey says you should have 6 months of cash reserves built up, put down no less than 20%, and keep your monthly housing payments to 25% of your net monthly income. Okay, so you're going to be living in a 2-bedroom apartment for the rest of your life? Although I do agree with the cash reserves, but 3 months is probably good enough. A basic rule of thumb is to keep your monthly housing expenses to 33% or less of your monthly income. The reason for that is simple. You're going to have other expenses like food, a car payment, insurance, gas for the car. If you get much over 33% of your income, you may have to make choices on where to spend your income. Housing expenses, rent, or buying are going to have to be paid. Living on the street is just not fun. When I was watching these videos, some of the financial gurus were, humorous to say the least. This guy was calculating the buyer with a $450,000 home versus renting at $1,000 per month. Now, I wonder which one was less expensive. You can't rent a 1-bedroom apartment in Tampa for $1,000. I'm not sure you can rent anything for $1,000 a month in the continental United States. This guy, Brent, was a little better, comparing a $500,000 mortgage with a payment of about $2,500 to rent of $1,900 a month. In Tampa, $1,900 a month is going to get you the equivalent of a $290,000 home or a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. I am going to go out on a limb and say we're sticking to homes and no apartments. I wouldn't want to live with neighbors on 3 sides of me and less than 12 inches from me. I don't know what Detroit's market looks like, so I'm going to use Tampa's market numbers. In Tampa, $1,900 a month rent will get you a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with about 2,100 square feet. The equivalent purchase price of $290,000, which is for a very similar sized 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. The monthly principal and interest payment on that, assuming a minimum of 3.5% down and 3.5% interest on a 30-year fixed mortgage, is going to be about $1,270 a month. To that, we have to add PMI, private mortgage insurance. The default calculation is the mortgage amount times 0.7% divided by 12. That equals $164 a month in our case. Property taxes, if you live anywhere in North America, you're going to have to pay property taxes. Property taxes are going to vary widely depending on what county, city, and state you live in. In Hillsborough, the average tax rate is 1.023%. So the calculation would equal $248 a month in our case. When you own a home, you get to pay for maintenance, lucky you. I understand that you don't have to fix it till it breaks or wears out. However, you should fund for it as part of your expenses. A good number to use is 1% of the home's value divided by 12, and in our case, that's $241. The last item you put in your monthly housing cost is going to be homeowner's insurance. Homeowner's insurance is going to vary as well. The closer you are to the beach, or any body of water for that matter, the age of the house, the age of the roof, they're all going to figure into the insurance premium. For our calculations, I'm going to assume an average of this across the state of 1.15% of the home's value, which is in our case $278 a month. When you add all that up, you're going to get a monthly housing expense of $2,200 when you're buying the home. The difference between renting and buying in this instance is $243 a month. Okay, let's take a look at renter's costs. Monthly housing costs are $1,900. It's your rent. That amount includes property taxes, insurance on the structure, and monthly maintenance costs. You just don't see it because you're paying rent, but you can bet your bottom dollar that those costs have been calculated into the monthly rent by your landlord. It's called the cost of doing business. You may not be paying those other expenses directly, but guarantee you are paying them. What's more, your rent is more than likely to go up every year. You're fooling yourself if you think otherwise. Your landlord is going to charge you market rates, which can go down, but historically follow inflation. What that means is, down the road in 5 years, your monthly rent is going to go from $1,900 a month to $2,257 a month at 3.5% inflation. On the buy side, you're going to have some items affected by inflation. Those are going to be taxes and insurance. The other expenses in there are pretty much fixed. Assuming the same 3.5% inflation on those two items, your monthly housing cost will be $2,299, $2,300 at the end of the same 5-year period. This does not include appreciation on a house over that 5-year period, which historically has been 4%, even after the crash of 2007-2009. It doesn't include tax benefits of selling the home. So now that I have you completely confused, and I know who you are, which is better, renting or buying? It's a decision that you're going to have to make. If you are just starting out, new in your career, a new marriage, just moved out of the parents' house, you really might want to consider renting for a couple of years. Figure out what you want. Save some money, get your financial life stable, and then look to buy. Renting is not the worst thing you could do in life. Buying a home just to buy and not being able to support it, well, that's not such a good thing either. If you have any questions about buying versus selling, jot them down in this comment section below. I will answer them as soon as possible. You can also call me or text me at 813-575-2124 or send me an email, mike@thelavoyteam.com. If you're looking for something else to watch on my site, take a look at this video about Wesley Chapel. Thank you for your time and go make it a great day.